Okay, well, today we want to talk about glutamate, MSG, an excitatory neurotransmitter, and I'm going to share my screen with you so we can all see this. So what is glutamate? Glutamate is an excitatory neurotransmitter right here. And what it does is it excites the brain. So if someone were to have a concussion or a headache or they get tight muscles, glutamate levels may be high. And we're going to show you how to test for that. And we're going to show you a genetic test, but we're also going to look at a neurotransmitter test. And so hopefully by the end of this, you'll know a lot more about glutamate and its effects on the brain. So, what is glutamate in? Foods that are high in glutamate. Glutamate's MSG, monosodium glutamate. So, a lot of fast food, chips, snacks, seasoning blends, a lot of your frozen foods, frozen pizzas, soups, broths, processed meats, your cured meats, pepperonis, bacon, deli meat, stuff like that. Condiments, soy sauce, ketchup, salad dressings, and some of your aged fermented foods too, like cheese and soy sauce and vinegar. So, what happens if we have high levels of glutamate and in the brain? Excess levels of glutamate can overexcite the nerve cells. So, if someone just had a concussion, it probably wouldn't be a good idea for them to have a lot of MSG because that's going to excite those microglial cells in their brain, which is going to give them that headache and they're not going to feel good. So the symptoms of high glutamate are also muscle tension, pain, amplification, anxiety, restlessness, and trouble concentrating and focusing. So I noticed that with a lot of patients. We'll run tests on them, and then I'll show you some of the tests we run, and then you'll see if that comes back positive. What we also know is that can explain some of their headaches and stuff. If they're looking at other things, they're usually on other medications, and these things don't go away. Well, if they continue to eat glutamate, it's not going to go away. So we'll get into that a little bit more later. So signs and symptoms and health conditions associated with excess glutamate in the brain. So we're looking at Alzheimer's disease. We're looking at ALS, a neurodegenerative disorder, traumatic brain injuries. Again, that's not good. Other neurodegenerative diseases we're looking at, like Huntington's and Parkinson's, can lead to stroke, migraines and pain pathways in the brain, epilepsy. Those are just to name a few. You can look at MS, autism, and then we also have anxiety and restlessness. So if you have high levels of glutamate, we could see these things. So you can see why you don't want this going on for a long time. So if you're constantly eating packaged food, if you're constantly eating fast food, things like that that have a lot of MSG in it, those levels are going to go high. And if you don't have the enzyme here, I'm going to show you. This is a genetics test we run, and we're looking at these two right here. This one here and this one here. It's called GAD1, and it's glutamic acid decarboxylase. Now, what that does is you have glutamate here. It gets converted to GABA, and GABA is what we know as that's what calms us. So glutamate is the gas pedal and GABA is the brake pedal. So we want glutamate levels because we need that. Like my glutamate levels have to be really good right now because it's a brain, it's an excitatory neurotransmitter. I need it to do this talk. However, tonight when I go to bed at 10 o'clock, I want that to go down so I can relax. Okay. And so people who tend to eat a lot of MSG, they have this enzyme. So if this enzyme's either yellow or red, which means it's positive, and this person has it right here, then this enzyme here, this GAD enzyme, can't convert enough of this over to GABA, can't convert this glutamate here over to GABA. And so they don't relax. So they're going to have trouble sleeping. They're going to have tight muscles. They're going to have headaches. They're going to have a hard time concentrating. So when there are some things we can give them, but one of the best things would be to avoid those foods that are high in MSG because we don't want this getting out of control. Because if they have this GAD enzyme deficiency, they're going to be in trouble and they're not going to be able to get to GABA. GABA is what calms you down. It's what helps you go to sleep. It relaxes you. So there's a test we run, and what we're looking for, I'm just going to talk about these two today. I'll throw a couple other, but we're looking at glutamate and GABA. We're looking to see these levels. Are these levels normal? Because if if they're too high, the person's going to be anxious. They're not going to be able to settle down. They're going to have ADD symptoms. They're going to be irritable, things like that, the muscle tension. So we're going to look at this test. And so this is a urinary test we take, and it's looking at the excitatory neurotransmitters. So glutamate, again, is one of the excitatory neurotransmitters. Now we test for other ones, but today I'm just sticking with glutamate. So if this person's normal, but let's just say they were up here, that would let me know that they have high levels of glutamate. And it's probably going to explain their headaches, their irritability, their lack of concentration. I mean, these are the people that when you see out in public, they're just not doing well. They're the ones arguing with people. They're the ones with a short temper, short fuse. They can't concentrate. Um, like I said, they're just not feeling very well. And it's because these are excitatory neurotransmitters. Now, another thing this group of people deals with, these tend to be, not all the time, but sometimes, these tend to be people who have addictions, because the only way to get these things to calm down is they turn to, alcohol, drugs, some sort of addiction, smoking, gambling, sex, whatever, because it will calm it down momentarily, but only momentarily, and then it goes right back up. So it's really important that these people avoid foods that have glutamate in it or a lot of MSG. So then here, let's go down here and let's look at GABA. Now, these are your inhibitory neurotransmitters, and we're really just looking at GABA. And we would look at this one. This person's is normal. But if it was low, you could see how that could be a problem, because it would be low. That would mean they can't calm down. They're going to have trouble sleeping. So one of the things we want to look at is, if you do have trouble sleeping, that could be it. Instead of trying a sleeping medication, try getting on processed foods, try lowering down, MSG. That's why we run these tests, guys, so we don't have to guess. I get people in here all the time and they've been on medications for years. And you explain this to them and they're like, aha, that, yeah, I want to run that test. I want to know. And so that's what we do. Because, first thing is, let's try to do it naturally if we can. Okay. And if we can, then that's great. If we can't, then you can look at the medications if you really need to bring it down. There are medications that will bring it down, but most people don't even know it's that. And they're on medications to calm them down. They're on anxiety, medications. They're on psychotropic drugs to calm that down. And what if it was this? Then it's an easy fix. So one of the things we talked about it going to GABA is that glutamate going to GABA. GABA plays a big role in to reduce the activity of neurons in the brain and central nervous system, which in turn, it's increased relaxation. It's going to help your body and your mind relax, reduce stress. You're going to be calm. You're going to have a balanced mood. You're going to alleviation of pain. So when you run across these people who have like chronic pain, this could be one of those things too. I'm not saying that, it's not from an injury, but if this is turned on, it's not going to help the injury. So, this is going to help relax. So we got to get that. We got to go back here and we got to get that glutamate to GABA. Now, again, this person, there's two genes we check, these two right here. Now, if they are positive, say both of these were red, that would mean this person's really in trouble. They're not going to be able to convert much over, especially if they have the symptoms. Just because they have the gene doesn't mean they're going to have it. We got to match it up with their symptoms. And then we know what to give them. And I'll show you that at the end here. Some of the things we do, one of the products we give them to help them with this. So again, glutamate is going to be excitatory. It's going to cause a lot of problems, headaches, muscle tension, all those good things. And then GABA is what's going to help them relax. So if they can't get over here, it's going to be a problem. So that's what we want to know for sure. Like I said, when they get to GABA, this is going to increase relaxation. This is the calming thing. This is what everybody wants. And so at night, around 9, 8, 9, 10 o'clock, our levels of GABA should start to go up. Now, if they're not, and our levels of glutamate are going up, do you see where that could be a problem? That person's probably not going to get to sleep, and they're not going to be doing very well. Those are your night owls. They're staying up watching TV all night. They can't get to sleep. And then they probably go and snack on some snack food that they shouldn't be snacking on, like potato chips that have MSG, that are loaded with MSG. And then they're drinking, a diet, even if it's caffeine Coke, they're just getting totally stimulated at night. And that used to be me. I did stuff like that, and then I couldn't sleep. I was up till 3 or 4 in the morning. Not to mention gluten. I didn't even go with gluten. We're just sticking with glutamate today. But here's one of the products that we talk about that we use. And it's got some things in it that are going to calm you, but it has magnesium in it, zinc, L-glycine, L-theanine, and kava kava root. Now, what do these do? They help improve nerve impulses, facilitation, healthier sleep patterns, improved cellular health, reduced nervousness and stress symptoms, improved digestive health, increased mood support, and patients who respond poorly to GABA supplements, because you just don't want to take the GABA supplements. It's a pathway, and it really works best if this pathway is working. So you want to be able, what this is going to do is allow that glutamate to be converted to GABA naturally, instead of just coming in and giving them a bunch of GABA. That might work initially for like a week or so, but then the body realizes you're just giving them GABA, and it just immediately turns it back to glutamate and goes up. So, that's why we do this. This is going to help them convert it over to GABA more naturally, and it's going to relax them. Okay. So this is going to give them, it's going to calm them down. And again, what are some of the, if you have high levels of glutamate, what are muscle tension, pain, anxiety, restlessness, trouble concentrating and focusing? And so one of the things I would say too, these people might lean towards diarrhea if it messes with their gut. So if you're having diarrhea, it might mess with that. So you might want to watch that if you eat. And one of the classic examples of this is when they go to the Chinese buffet and they load the Chinese buffet up with soy sauce. That is a ton of MSG. And those people love it. It tastes good. They crave it. But in the end, they feel horrible that night. They don't feel well, and usually carries on into the next day. So if this sounds familiar, reach out to us. We do these tests. This is one of the tests we do right here on genetics. It's just a cheek swab. These are the neurotransmitters. So we can look, when you start seeing this, if a lot of these were yellow and red over here, that's just going to indicate that these people here are probably prone towards anxiety or depression and a hard time concentrating. But we know which ones. And these are things, they're called SNPs. They're called single nucleotide polymorphisms. And basically what that means, it's just a fancy word for just saying genetically they're not able to convert things over. Just like this enzyme is not working right, and it does not convert GABA over, or glutamate over to GABA. And some of these, like this one here, it's serotonin, and it just doesn't make enough serotonin. So you can give them like 5-HTP, 5-hydroxytryptophan, which will go to serotonin, instead of putting them on SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. But these are things we can do naturally. So, everything we're looking at, we want to look at what we can treat it with: the diet, the lifestyle, and supplementation. And I get pretty good results doing that with functional medicine. And so I see people like this coming in all the time, and then we shed some light on it, and no one's ever thought about it this way unless they've went to a functional medicine doctor, and not very many people know much about that. But I like to do the genetics testing, and then, like, again, I would look at this test. This tells us about all the neurotransmitters, okay? But again, we're just focusing in on glutamate and GABA. And so when I go here would be GABA. We test for that. It's an inhibitory neurotransmitter. And then here is glutamate. So we would look at these and just see, and so see all the neurotransmitters we can look at, guys. So if you're having problems with anxiety, depression, concentration, brain fog, stuff like that, we can check a lot of these and see what's off. And then we just treat it more naturally with food, like I said, diet, lifestyle, and supplementation. And if that sounds like something, that you're into, reach out to us. We offer health assessments. Right now, we're offering them free, and I do those. And I would just love to shed some light on this because my daughter had this and she had a concussion. That's why I had to know about it so well. And she can't have glutamate or gluten. If she had gluten or glutamate, it will blow her brain up and she will have a headache and she will not be doing very well. Okay. And then again, here, dopamine, throw a little extra. Dopamine's concentration. So if our dopamine levels are way down here real low, this is probably where that kid's going to get mistaken or someone's going to get mistaken for ADHD because they can't concentrate. You want high dopamine levels, or you want them on the higher end, but you want them to be normal. You don't want them low. But I just threw that one in there. But anyway, today we're talking about glutamate and GABA. And there, like I said, there are ways to test them. And it just seems like a lot of people just get put on medication without testing any of this stuff to see what the root cause is. So anyway, I hope this information was helpful. And if you guys have any questions, just reach out to us. You can always book a health assessment, hit the link. I think it'll lead back to us and you can just request a health assessment. Okay. Anyway, I hope this information was helpful and we'll keep bringing it to you. Okay. Thank you guys.